Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus Prime Time. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Before you do anything, please like, and if you're on Facebook, please share this video webcast, because it is very important that we spread this message as much as possible. If you like or retweet or share, that increases the visibility to the search engines or to the social media platform, and they tend to spread this video more. And thanks once again for your help, and you've been very, very supportive. Professor RV, namaskaram, and welcome to PGurus channel, sir. Professor RV?
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Sir, today's topic, viewers. Yeah, today's topic, viewers. First off, we're going to talk about the loud silence of the media in Tamil Nadu and Kerala as far as happenings in Sri Lanka are concerned. We recently came to know that China has officially signed an agreement with Sri Lanka to develop an artificial island just outside Colombo. And this artificial island is like East India Company in that the whole island is going to be controlled by a company that will not be under the laws of Sri Lanka. Essentially, China is bringing it up, an artificial island. It's like creating a island from nowhere, and then they want to basically establish a listening post to monitor what is happening along the coast of India and what is happening with the media in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Cat got their tongue, and we also know what is happening in Lakshadweep. It has become a jihadi state. This tiny atoll of several islands doesn't even want to allow to put up a statue of Mahatma Gandhi. And nobody has a problem with it. I don't know what is going on. To understand all this and the pulls and pressures of these media organizations, Professor RV, sir, can you help us understand how media in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and many southern states are completely sold to private interests?
Yeah. Now, first and foremost is, I think, thank you, Ayat, and thank all the audience of PGurus. It's always a delight for me to talking to the PGuru audience, who are very, very knowledgeable and enlightened. Some of whose comments are very helpful also. The Sri Lanka situation vis-a-vis South India is extremely explosive. We are sitting on a very tight type of a time bomb, I would say. I'm very shocked that the rest of India is not having any understanding of what is happening and what type of situation is emerging in the southern part of the country. One is, of course, as usual, it is too far away from Delhi, and that doesn't automatically mean that it should also be far away from the thinking and brain of Delhi. So it's a very, very important. Let's first see the type of what one can call aggressive influence China is developing in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, according to me, is slowly becoming a colony of China. China has got a global ambition. Everybody knows it has got a lot of smaller countries in Africa as well as in Central Asia under its wing in the name of Belt and Road project. It helps in terms of providing money to quite a number of these countries for projects who are not able to meet the interest and principal obligation, and quietly China takes over the projects and then begin to dictate terms. This has been China's practice.
While Professor RV handles that, another request again to please like and share our channel on all the social media platforms that you are consuming the content. Your response so far has been excellent. I request you to continue doing that. Professor RV, back to you, sir. Yeah.
So what is happening is, say a small country like Djibouti in Africa, it is practically under China's control. 85% of its debt is part of GDP. Is debt actually, and huge portion of it goes to China. It's a very, very interesting type of a situation. It's China is, I would definitely say Vishkanya. It's very, very important to remember that. Don't embrace her. She will offer you attractive terms in terms of immediate. Like one of the Sri Lankan friends was telling me, it takes ages for India to clear some project and the paperwork and other things. China says, take it. Before we start talking, the money is in our bank. I told that's an opportunity. That's a way in which Vishkanya operate. It will hug you. It will provide you all the benefit, but be careful. It's like my village moneylender. You give him money, uh, return. He says, no need, sir. You keep it with you. You use it. And then after a couple of times, you suddenly realize you have to give him in interest more than the amount of principal or anything. He will encourage you to further keep it. Don't worry about it, sir. Another. There will be a point of tilting point, I would say, will come wherein you have to give your house, your car, your dog, everything to him in order to meet the obligation. He will wait for that smilingly with you, and then he will always be very friendly with you. So that type of lenders are extraordinarily dangerous. So China belongs to that category. China is very clear. It's not using the old colonialism in terms of trying to go there and then redraw the map and other thing. It's a modern colonialism. Modern colonialism entails China to finance huge project, and after some time he gets back the benefits of the project, and then he says, I will take over the project, don't worry about it. And then after he takes over the project, in order to benefit out of that. So we have to be very cautious about this whole issue. So now more and more involvement of China. Actually, Sri Lanka is waiting for a submarine from China. Kindly remember that it's the first time in the history of Sri Lanka that a submarine is going to be offered by China, and then Sri Lanka is going to have military arrangement with China. Not only that, Sri Lanka is also offered Hambantota, its port for the benefit of China, and along with that huge chunk of land. This whole thing was cleared in 1 month. Unbelievable, actually, given all our, we know about India, we know about Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, all these countries. It takes months and months in government clearances and other things. But this was clear. And this Hambantota 99 years, and that is the important thing to remember. And there are, sometimes, there are some airports in Sri Lanka. I'm told there is no airline which is flying there. It's just a, fancy airport which has started. So like that, one has to look at it. Not only that, there was another major Colombo, what one can call project. This the Colombo project, which is west eastern part, and later on now they are telling they have to shift it to western part of where Japan and India can jointly. The most important point of the project is India. We were supposed to have started it 2019. The local trade union was instigated to do agitation against it, that this is our sovereignty is affected. It's a completely chauvinist element, and trade unions are instigated using Chinese influence. In India also it has taken place. Kindly remember, recently when there was a skirmish with China, in the particularly in the Ladakh front and other things, the ordnance board employees went on strike, and all ordnance board employees, significant number of them belongs to communist unions. So this is something which we should keep in the back of the mind. I have been telling for a long period of time that defense establishment and defense enterprises, no union should be allowed, and it should not be encouraged to have any strike or anything. They are capable of crippling the entire Indian defense system in terms of crisis. This is something. Anyhow, based upon the local so-called quote unquote the trade union pressure, they took it out of India and Japan, and then they told we will try, you develop something in the western part, which is not very required or anything. So this is something. The current government, Rajapaksa government, when it came first time, it was actually tsunami. and now it is this epidemic. And the Gotabaya is the president. It's and his own eldest brother is also in the cabinet. Now, very recently, they have inducted the younger son in terms of Basil, who is a U.S. citizen. They amended the constitution in order to have dual citizen also to become a person in power. Till then, it was not possible actually. So he has become, and it is expected he will bring miracles and other things. And this Rajapaksa actually has used, if one may loosely call, extraordinary amount of chauvinism before coming to power. He has asserted in terms of what you may loosely call the Shingala situation and the need for Shingalas to rule the Shingala country and other thing. And so three brothers are in the cabinet. And one of the youngsters also, as I told you, recently inducted as finance minister. He is supposed to do miracle. We will wait and see. And more important, there are two other nephews also. One is called a non-cabinet minister, whatever it means. There, so the whole family is in happily running the show at different type of situation. Her party, of course, is called Pudujana Perumana. Now, they are having something of the order of their GDP is of the order of roughly. We are not talking in terms of exact amount and other things. The rough order of magnitude is $81 billion in 2020, and roughly 180 or so Sri Lanka rupee is $1, 195 trillion or 200 trillion local rupee. Now, the most important is of this, if you take GDP, debt to GDP is 87% in 2019. These are all World Bank estimate. 2020, 101, and 2022, it is estimated to become 110% debt to GDP. So, the government debt is phenomenally going to balloon, actually. And in 2019, SE debt is 66 billion USD. And China, it has to provide a substantial amount in terms of borrowing return. China says that we will come to help you out and other thing. Yeah, that is something very important. You wanted to mention something?
Yes, sir. Couple of things. One is Vishkanya. Viewers, I mentioned the use of Vishkanyas in my latest book, Who's Painted My State Purple. It is available as an ebook now on Amazon. Do avail a copy of it. It is a totally different genre in the sense that the setting is in US and China. And I hope you enjoy it and support me as much as you have done in my past books. Also, the second thing I wanted to ask you, sir, is this, Sri Lanka's $81 billion economy, how much of that is tourism and how much of it is actual products?
Yeah, I am coming to that actually.
Yes.
Roughly 8 to, their agriculture is of the order of 9%.
Oh,
then
my God.
Service is 60% and industry is 26%. Tourism constitutes something like 11 to 12%, which has been severely affected because of this pandemic and other type of situation. And they owe actually, as per the books, 5 billion US dollar and to China as of now. But total SL external debt is 49 billion. That is roughly 60% of their reserves in terms. So it's a very, very, very huge amount actually. China says, don't worry, we are there to take care. As I told you, it's extraordinarily, whenever China says we will take care, we have to be very careful because they are not taking care of your debt, they are taking care of your country itself. So the new type of expansionism China is practicing. If you see Gavadar port in the edge of the Arabian Sea, that side, and then Djibouti, and then Hambantota, you will find the triangle is getting formed. So China is extraordinarily, what you may loosely call, strengthening its position. And it would like to, already we know that China is entrenching itself in Pakistan as well as Afghanistan. It's one of the few countries which had a detailed discussion with Taliban and then trying to arrive at. Incidentally, there is a small strip of Afghanistan which is border to China. And China has not been treating its own Islamic people in a very
Uyghurs.
decent manner.
Right.
And
Uyghurs.
there is so much amount of complaint and human rights, but the others don't seem to bother about it, or don't seem to worry about it or anything. Now the question is, with so much amount of development of China, what is the role? Southern flank of India is very fragile. First, Kerala. Kerala communist have always been pro-China. It's nothing top secret about it or anything. There is, it is told Pinarayi Vijayan, when he was SFI, Student Federation of India, CPIM student wing leader in 1962, he prevented people from contributing, giving donation to Indian war efforts with China. This is something very, very important to recognize. So, CPM is totally pro-China. They would not mind, China's enlargement there. They would not. They would applaud actually if things take place. Kindly remember, there is a agreement signed even by Rahul Gandhi's Congress party with the Chinese government. Even that has not yet been fully revealed. What exactly is the nature of the agreement? And then Rahul was also encouraged to go and stand in Wayanad, of all the places in Sri Lanka. So that is another type of a interesting thing. So this
Sir, Wayanad is Kerala, sir. Wayanad is Kerala.
Wayanad in Kerala. Kerala situation is extremely favorable to the development which are taking place with China. Not only that, the media in Kerala is practically controlled by the communist. There is no discussion about the role of China in what is coming up in Sri Lanka. This is something very, very important. Second is the Sri Lanka, what Shinkala shamanism was one of the causes for Tamil, being not happy or sympathetic, another thing, and out of which this LTTE came. And LTTE was crushed by this Rajapakse government. But interestingly, post development, a large number of DMK leaders met with Rajapakse, including Kanimori, Balu, and Thiruma, who is not a part of DMK, who is outside, but he is also, many of them, this was supposedly arranged by one Gasper. We will come to that. He is one of the wheeler dealer in Tamil Nadu, and he seems to have arranged, and they seem to have got very, very major, valuable gifts. It's not known what type of gifts were given. And there are also talks that there is an understanding between these and Rajapakse. But that is not clear what exactly is the type of understanding. Now, the question is, the Tamil media is also completely silent on this. Of course, the other major media in South, which is the Hindu, it is completely with China. They had a full page advertisement on 100 years of CPC in the front page of the Hindu. Everybody knows Enram is sympathetic to China, and he may even write an editorial or front page telling the Chinese presence in Sri Lanka is a very, very important thing, and it will provide what one can call a major cushion to the world peace and other thing. He is capable of writing that. He is extremely pro-Chinese, and I am actually, how much of these media in Tamil Nadu and Kerala is funded by China is also not clear. I have been telling the government, you must amend the clauses pertaining to media, wherein they every year clearly enunciate what is the shareholding of different groups. Today, it is not required for media, except they have one declaration where they say that beyond 1% is being controlled by so many small companies, they say. My hunch is, let me say hunch, quite a number of these big media, including Hindu, has been controlled by companies like Tencent, etc. from China. Chinese funding of Indian companies is not something new. There was this unicorn, those which are above 100 crore, and there was a huge list actually. Out of 100 companies, 60 are funded by Chinese. So Chinese funding not necessarily from the mainland China. It can come from anywhere in the world because they have access to Chinese facilitators in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in other parts of Asia as well as in Middle East. So this is something is happening. So the media, Tamil media, for instance, is comprehensively silent. They have not even mentioned about China's role in Sri Lanka. Not only that, there are some activists. There is some Daniel Murugan and a lot of these floating around activists are there. Overnight, suddenly they become environmental experts, or they become geological experts, or all sorts of names you can give them. They still talking about India fishermen being attacked by they are making it appear as if India is playing a very major role vis-a-vis Sri Lanka and vis-a-vis. There is absolutely no fact in this. I am convinced that huge amount of Chinese money is flowing into Tamil Nadu and Kerala in order to influence. What I am trying to say is the Sri Lankan situation has to be looked at along with that of the coastal states of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. It's going to be a huge thing. Within 5 to 8 years, I may or may not be around. There will be significant amount of PLA presence in China. Let me tell it very clearly, because Sri Lanka, PLA will send, in the form of helping it or in the form of maintaining their port city, because they would even say that there is a requirement of security in order to protect and preserve. And then they may introduce a local visa type of thing. You require some sort of a pass in order to enter the place. It could happen. And in which case, the southern flank of India is heavily threatened. What is that, sir?
Sir, sorry to keep interrupting. I just need to compliment what you just said, sir. 2 years ago, viewers, I wrote an article in PGurus where that 6 months after Hambantota was given to China on a 99-year lease. What was observed was the agreement calls out that China will not put any military troops on this place, except everybody that people were observing that was walking about inside Hambantota complex, they all had that ramrod, bearing of a military man, except they were not wearing uniforms. So China is never bothers about all these things. Might is right, their might, their way or highway. And now in this artificial island project, they have already mandated that people will need work permits to get in. They will only get paid in RMBs. They will not be tried. Whatever happens on this island will not be subject to the jurisdiction of Sri Lanka. In other words, if somebody gets hurt working in that island, then they have to appeal to the company that is running the island for justice. So this is how they have taken over the thing. Over to you, Max.
Now coming back to Rajapaksa 2 is not the same as Rajapaksa 1. Let us be very clear about it. Rajapaksa 1 was some sort of a neutral type of thing, trying to balance between India and Rajapaksa 2 is completely changed man. He is under Z Hitler. Let's be very clear about it, and no doubt about it. And the Kerala being ruled by the communist is completely going to be in support of what is happening there by the Chinese. Now let's come to Tamil Nadu. Again, Tamil Nadu, let me say, DMK now is not the same as DMK 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of Karunanidhi. This is 6.0 of Stalin, which is totally different from the earlier DMK. Earlier DMK objective was to make money and keep quiet, and periodically make some noises here and there. And very important, that noises will be regarding, this is not coming to us, that is not coming to us, another thing, right?
Yes, sir.
So, some messages are coming. Can you stop that? Some of them are highly disturbing.
Okay, we will stop that, sir. Sorry about that.
Because some of them are, okay. Yeah. Now, this is something totally different. Karunanidhi always used to say in Tamil, Madhil Kutachi, Manalatil Suyachi. Urimeke Kural Gudapom, Oravaka Kai Gudapom. Basically, what he told is, don't disturb us, we will make as much money as possible. And there was a benign neglect from the time of Indira Gandhi about this entire DMK groups. They were not very, as long as you make money and then you keep quiet, you come to, and whenever they go to Delhi, they will talk differently. Whenever they come to Tamil Nadu, they will talk differently. In those days, there was no social media or television, so they can carry on about like that. Only print media was there. So they will print something today and then tomorrow it will be forgotten by people. But today the situation is, current DMK is extremely dangerous. Let me tell you, underline it with red ink for 3 to 4 times. Several indicators are there. One is they have started calling this, it's not a central government anymore. They call it as a federation of states in terms of union. Ondriya Arasangam. This is the starting point. And you know the reason they give is, in 1957 DMK manifesto it was mentioned. 1957, kindly remember. 1962, Annadurai completely gave up the separate Tamil Nadu slogan after the enactment of law in the parliament post-Chinese war and other thing. Anyhow, now they are going back to 1957. And 1957, then second point is, Jai Hind was ridiculed in the assembly. Chief Minister was looking at it with some amount of joy actually. Not a single MLA, including that of Congress, including that of BJP, protested against it. One Iswaran, who was earlier in his own party and then he merged with DMK, he told Jai Hind was deleted from the speech of the governor, and it was one of the greatest achievement and other thing. And Jai Hind was introduced by Sambagaraman of Tamil Nadu in the Netaji's army. It's a total insult to Netaji's army, and I earnestly appeal and request the BJP 4 MLAs to do dharna in the assembly till that is expunged from the assembly's proceedings. I don't know whether they will do it or not, but this is an indicator of what I told DMK 6.0. The third point, they have, computing the assembly life from 1920. Karunanidhi did not do it. They suddenly declared that 100 years are over. And Karunanidhi never counted it from 1920. He counted it only from 1947. And so he was having the 50 years of celebrations and other things. Totally different than what this 1920 was. Montagu Chelmsford that time constituted. It was more like a club. It was not an assembly at all. Women did not have voting rights. Asset owners can only vote. That is another thing. And Congress boycotted it. This whole poll. Gandhi told it's a crime to have a club type of thing created in the name of assembly. And currently, 100-year celebration, those Congress fellows were sitting in the celebration. I am very ashamed that even BJP was participating in the celebration. And the President of India, I do not know whoever advised him, he came for this. It's not 100 years. You know what happened? The Jallianwala Bagh massacre took place. It was a genocide actually. Thousands of innocent, unarmed women, children and men were killed. And Justice Party that time justified it. Justice Party members. And they became later the members of this assembly. You can imagine, they were all bootlickers of British. It was sponsored by British, run by British. Congress boycotted it. And for instance, this famous Tyagaraja, he got something like 2,000 votes in his constituency. Those days, Madras might have had some 2 lakh population even. So this is a bogus thing, but deliberately Stalin is going back to that as a, and he also announced that they are the original gene of DMK. He announced it in the assembly that this is our forefathers. So Jai Hind was insulted in the assembly, first thing. Then the federal government idea is propagated, and lot of his sidekicks, what you may call chamchas or spoons, I don't, actually you should call them as buckets. They say the conditions for asking Dravida Nadu is alive even today. They write it in Tamil. The only sad part of it is none in Delhi can read Tamil. people in power, people in position, they are all fed a lot of rotten things by the intermediaries and agents. This is something very, very sad. One is the distance, second is the language. Social media also, they have appointed one compliance officer. For instance, this Twitter and Facebook, none of them I'm sure know Tamil. Why don't you insist that you must have a compliance officers in every one of the regional languages? Obscenity, vulgarity, all of this is written in Tamil. So they say that conditions of separate Tamil Nadu exist today. This is told by the supporters of DMK. Stalin has not yet told for it. He is against a neutrino project. He is against GAIL. He is against NEET. All, he is going all the way. Not only that, a pro-Naxal, extremely vicious father, he has appointed in the in order to formulate policies for education. And earlier, he has appointed one comedian, one joker who goes around for all this, what you may call Pattimandram, they call debating societies to edit and other thing. And as a chief of that textbook society, he has also put one hardcore, EVR fungus. I call them EVR virus or EVR fungus, depending upon the what one can call the ferocity of it. He is also in the committee. And he has decided to delete anything to do with freedom movement and freedom fight. I am very confident the new textbooks of Tamil Nadu will say that EVR was the beginning and end of the Tamil Nadu. Not many people know he didn't spend even 1 hour in prison. 1 hour even he didn't spend in prison. He declared August 15, 1947 as a mourning day. EVR. He is treated as a what one can call icon or something. And he wanted a separate Dravida Nadu. He even wrote to Jinnah telling take us along with this Pakistan. Jinnah laughed at the whole thing anyhow. He told you take care of yourself. The point I want to stress is the separatist forces in Tamil Nadu are very active, and I am sure China will be providing huge amount of encouragement. The major English language daily of the South, the Hindu, is completely pro-China. And I do not know how much amount of funding they have got from China. They would not mind writing a front page article welcoming Chinese army's presence in Sri Lanka or in South. Let me tell, for world peace they will claim. And there will be enough people to put jalra for that also. So the Tamil media is completely with the DMK's control. And I tell you, DMK 6.0 is not same as the earlier DMK. This is the most dangerous DMK we have got. And sooner or later, they would definitely go for asking for separate kingdom. They have put these people, Raghuram Rajan and the earlier chief financial advisor and other thing in a committee. I'm sure that committee has got all sorts of fellows. John Dries, who was with the Sonia Gandhi's thing, and the wife of this Banerjee, who got, she also got Nobel Prize. All of them put together is going to give a report. Yeah, all of them going to give a report telling that need for more powers or quote unquote more type of freedom to the states and other thing, which will be used. And he has got one finance minister who is the most dangerous. He is as dangerous as the Sri Lankan finance minister, who is Basil, and who is a dual citizenship. I'm not very clear about the citizenship of Tamil Nadu finance minister also, because some people say he is a citizen of Singapore, some people say he is a citizen of... In India, anything you can do. I can tell you one thing, anything you can do. There are no conflict, there are only interest. You can be a citizen of China, member of the CPC, and minister in the state level cabinet in any of the states in India. Nothing will happen to you, because the court you have to file, and court will take some 40-50 years minimum actually, if at all it takes it up, the case. And by the time you are dead, I am dead, and rebirth only. In rebirth you may not necessarily be a member of CPC, and so you will be, court will say that's quite okay. So this is something very, very drastic. and a very, very dangerous type of situation developing in Sri Lanka, supported by forces in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. As of now, by commission and omission, but sooner or later, it is going to become a major issue wherein these forces will combine with that. The media, which is completely, there is no discussion on Hambantota in the entire Kerala and Tamil media. Can you believe? Within some 300 miles, less than that, actually, there is a huge facility. 99-year lease has been given to China. There is no discussion, no talk about it. Another, I'm very fascinated that the LTTE rump, I call them LTTE rump because the main LTTE is banned in every country, including India. Even though it is banned in India, people conduct meetings, morchas, procession with Prabhakaran photos and talks, and this is something. A banned organization, you can conduct rallies, you can conduct speeches. Only in India, nowhere else in the world it will be possible. You can't conduct a procession of LTT in London today or in Paris today, but in India you can conduct. The Prime Minister of the country, along with 16 people, were killed assassinated by this group, and they were convicted, not accused, convicted. And there is a huge propaganda telling they should all come out. And one fellow is given every 1 month bail by the Stalin government. I am telling you again and again, the current Stalin government is the most dangerous government ever seen in the history of annals of India. Mark my word, wait for 5 years, wait for 8 years, you will know what I am talking about. The Tamil Nadu and Kerala are going to have the boots of PA of the China, if it is required. Otherwise, there is going to be a local amount of rebellion and local amount of crisis, and another Jammu and Kashmir will be seen in both Tamil Nadu and Kerala. You wait for that. And mark my word, most dangerous CM today in the country is Stalin. Either on his own accord he is doing this thing, or he is handled from abroad. If his handlers are abroad, equally dangerous. If he is doing it on his own, it is equally dangerous. Unfortunately, the Delhi is far away. It is practically, I would say, sleeping, not knowing what type of things are developing. Many of the activists are unbelievably pro-China. Not only that, the entire coast is now with a particular type of church control. They say that you cannot conduct any activity because these are the purified land of the Christ. And Kudangulam, all of you know, it was instigated by church and China. Kindly note, the sterilite agitation was fully, now I am convinced, is by China. Because the beneficiary of the copper export is China. China has got a factory in Pakistan and they are the net exporter. India, in spite of having a huge facility, is closing it, and then we are importing copper. Can you beat this? And they say that copper facility is creating cancer. If so, then 50% of that fellows at least should have cancer. Of that, fellows who are working there should also be affected, right? Absolutely, there is no common sense or anything anymore. Huge agitation was conducted. Police obviously took into the situation, and some 13 people were killed, which is very unfortunate actually. But that has become an issue now. Since 13 people were killed, you cannot open the facility. So sterilite agitation was a grand success for China. Earlier, Kudangulam was, unfortunately, it could not become a grand success for the church. Now, according to me, in global, there is an alliance between church and China. Let's be very clear about it. Church is very happy about the treatment to Uyghurs. They are not worried about or bothered about. And quite a number of people at the Politburo level in China are converted. So there is an underground church. There is an estimate 10 to 12% at least will be Christians in positions in Chinese Communist Party. Incidentally, China recognizes Roman Catholic, Protestant, Islam, then this what one can call this group, which is from Persia, which is come to India also. The small group, Tata belongs to that group. That is recognized by China, but not Parsis, but not Hindus. Hindus are not recognized by China as a religion. Very important. From 2004, I have been writing letters to several. Writing letters is of no use. Email, Gmail, anything, nobody bothers. We should demand that Hinduism should be recognized as a religion in China. For the simple reason, if I light an agarbatti and then ring the bell for tell Ram, Hanuman Salisar, Kandashiti Kavacham, I can be arrested in China today for following voodoo system and other things. So Hinduism is not recognized. They don't, and we don't also care as one. I should share it with you. One minister told me that Hinduism is not recognized in India itself. Why are you so much worried about China? So that is the state of affairs we are in. Our knowledge about what is happening in China is all from these New York Times and Washington Post. And many of them are today controlled by China actually. Large number of global institutions are under Chinese control, and lot of material has come out that many universities in the US are funded by Chinese research project, and many professors are funded by Chinese. So there is a huge Chinese influence. So my hunch is there is a tacit understanding between the church and China. This is something which we have to digest, because in the context of Sri Lanka, the bombing which took place of the other side, a couple of I think 2 years before, or the Islamists bombed various churches, facilities. Easter, and so after that, I think the link between the church and China has become much more stronger, and in that context, the entire west coast is getting in the control of the church in India is extremely to be observed, and a very very soft spoken sober Manmohan Singh, who never makes any harsh statements or anything, who never makes statement to start with, but who never make any harsh statement. He took a translator to Japan. I wrote to him an email. He was my teacher, so I can take some liberty with him. I told him, why are you taking a translator to Japan? Because silent
don't say anything.
Any translation. So in any language it is same only. So anyhow, so he told, mark my word, Manmohan Singh told, global NGOs and global forces are trying to prevent economic development of our country. He told it to a Science magazine. It's there in print. He was very upset. He told there is a limit to which the developed countries, these human rights organizations and NGOs can interfere in the affairs of India in the context of Kudangulam. He told this actually. So we have to be extraordinarily cautious. Sterlite is gone, and today Stalin is telling we will not allow GAIL. GAIL is laying the pipelines. They have laid it in Gujarat, they have laid it in Madhya Pradesh, they have laid it in Assam, Bengal, name a state, they have laid it. All over they dig it, and deep down they lay the pipeline. It has not impacted agriculture in any one of these states. But Stalin says no, because this is our EVR's night soil. Our country, they periodically say it is EVR soil. It's actually EVR night soil, this whole Tamil Nadu belt. So he says that if you dig for shale pipeline, this soil will be affected. Soil of other states were never affected. That is not our concern. We will not allow it. And the neutrino project, even Abdul Kalam made a passionate request. No, we will not allow it. Then the project for hydrocarbon, we will. So this is another thing, is of course a big problem. The DMK wants cut money. That is their fundamental principle. Except the 6.0 Stalin, which is very dangerously separatist, secessionist, and that type of ideas. Otherwise, they always, for instance, in 68, ISRO people came to meet then DMK new government. At that time, unfortunately, Annadurai was in hospital. He was not feeling well. He sent one minister who came drunk, who asked for money, cut money. So the ISRO people were shocked actually. A PSU's ability to provide cut money is relatively much lower. Finally, they went to that Andhra Pradesh island. They couldn't set it up in Tamil Nadu, even though they had a very good location in Kanyakumari because of this DMK's. So DMK traditionally money making, that is their primary objective. They would like to, for instance, their nephew, they have made so much money in television channel, in communication, in aircraft industry, in media, all that. That benign neglect I told you from the time of Indira Gandhi, in terms of, if you want make money, make it, it's all right. None of the DMK people were ever punished for making money. Actually, there was one commission which told scientific corruption has been invented by DMK. Vinyana Ridhyana corruption. This is very, very difficult to deal with another. But the current 6.0 is not just about making money. I'm not so much worried about somebody is corrupt or everybody is, very difficult to find those who are not corrupt. Charu Majumdar, you may say, is not corrupt, but it is very dangerous, right? So, Achudanandan was not corrupt, but he is also dangerous. So, I would not mind somebody corrupt but patriotic. For instance, this F20, 20 families which control India, large number of them are corrupt. Sharad Pawar's party, then the party of Sheikh Abdullah, Mulayam Singh Yadav, all of them. But none of them are secessionist. None of them are for separating out from the country. That is the most important thing. So 6.0, I am assuming that 5 times MK Karunanidhi was the chief minister. Before that, of course, Annadurai was also chief minister. So for simplicity, we are telling this to be DMK 6.0, or you can call it COVID-20. COVID-20. So that is also another name you can use it for DMK. Most dangerous, most venomous. I'm telling, due to them, there will be huge amount of problems in the south. Combined with the Marxist, which are in the next state, combined with the support given by the huge paraphernalia of media in the name of the Hindu, unfortunate name for that paper, which will totally submissively go for China. They will say Chinese presence in South India is very helpful for global peace. I'm telling you, they will write an editorial and there are enough people to support that also. And they bring out one paper called Frontline. I don't think anybody reads it. That's a different issue. Those who print at least might have to read in the olden time, because they have to put all the the traditional printing machine thing. They have to put the layout. Now it is all MS Word, so I don't think they need to read it also. They send it for spell check and then it will automatically. But you must have a look at it. It is as dangerous as any other Naxal propaganda. That's why I call that paper Naxalite tabloid. The reason why I am mentioning this is the media plays an important role in shaping our attitude toward China. So the presence of China in Sri Lanka is not something to be, it's a foreign country affair and the central government should take care of it and other thing. All that is fine. But Delhi is far, far away. They have a language problem. They have an understanding problem. And there is another issue there. Many a time Delhi right hand doesn't know what right hand is doing. So this is another, sort of a thing which we should remember. Right hand doesn't know what? Right hand. So it's it's a complicated type of for them, the entire obsession is with Pakistan. Most of the foreign policy experts have all been Punjab, Kashmir, that zone only. That is another issue. Anyhow, one person was the High Commissioner also, Manishankar Iyer. Fortunately or unfortunately, he can also be termed as a Pakistan only. There is no difference between his views and others' views. So it is required for the nationalist forces to become alert about what is happening in the southern flank of the country. Southern flank may become Jammu and Kashmir type of situation of the 80s in another 8 years, 5 to 8 years. I may not be around, but what I have told will be there. I'm sure in some form in Twitter or in what video or something. So that level of danger is there, and the CPM is sold out to China. There is no need to discuss about it or anything. It is CPM, instead of that CPCM they can put it actually. The 6.0, the DMK, COVID 20 DMK is very dangerous. Do not treat it like any other regional party. I'm telling you, it's the most dangerous type of a regional party. And given the global alliance of China and the Church, the shape of things to come is going to be very, very difficult and dangerous. This is what I would like to alert and then mention in this context.
Thank you very much, Professor RV. Sir, with your permission, we can start asking questions now. We have quite a few questions. The question will appear underneath in case you have difficulty understanding what I'm saying. The question will also appear. And let us start with the first question. And the first question, you want to put it up, please? The first question? No, I'm asking my editor. Can you please put up the first question? Okay, I'll ask. Chetan Kumar wants to know, Chinese education system, like the Indian one, is based on rote learning, but how come their universities have made it into the top 20 in the world list?
Yeah, how come means what? They have deliberately worked on it from the 60s. That is something, the people who come to other universities abroad and other, it is not like India. People from here, they just go for their own. China selects people, and all of them have got their full-fledged, what one can call sympathy, not just sympathy, something like a trust in the fatherland. This is very, very important. I have interacted with a lot. One Chinese was also my doctoral student. Anyhow, that's a separate issue. I've interacted with quite a number of them. Nobody has talked ill of their country to me. Compared to many of the Indians I have had occasion to meet with. Everyone consider themselves to be ambassador for China. The fellows who have ran away from China. There were one girl who cannot come out of US because if she goes out of US, she cannot come in again because her thing has been expired long time before. Quietly, she is carrying on with her what is that called driving license. That's the more important proof in US situation. Unless you get caught in very, very severe type of. Even she who got came through Bangkok route and other thing, she was very, very, very what one can call adamant in terms of praising China. You see, their love for their fatherland is something which you cannot. It's very difficult to. Rote learning is common, 100%, no doubt about it, and it facilitates it. Now there are some modern thinkers and stupid fellows who say this rote learning should be abolished and all that, all vague ideas. Anyhow, so each of them is an ambassador to their country. And do you know one thing? All Chinese studies, Chinese literature, Chinese past is done by Chinese. In the case of India, all Indian past, Indian studies, Indian things are all done by Americans who are projected or you will hardly find any American coming forward and discussing about Chinese China. China will discuss. So don't ever they are far different than us in that context.
Next question from Chetan Kumar. After Galwan clashes, DMK Stalin supported Modi. Does the DMK stand for Tamils in Malaysia and Singapore who are facing racial discrimination by the Chinese?
DMK stands for itself, for making money. One, comma. This supporting this Modi and other thing are all bogus. What did they do? You tell me. What did they do? They just made one statement that doesn't cost them anything. Did they say that 5% of the all MLA salary will be given to the prime ministers or this defense fund or anything? Nothing. And DMK, Malaysia, Singapore, they will be totally silent because Malaysian Tamils identify as Hindus. DMK cannot stand that actually. Let's be very clear. They were supporting this LTT to the extent LTT never identified itself as Hindus. This is something very, very important to remember. Malaysian Tamil always say Hindus. There is one Hindu Malaysian, one front, I don't remember the abbreviation. They are the ones in draft, if I remember correctly. They are the one. That is why they get the support of global Hindus, Malaysian. DMK will never support any group which identify with Hindus. Let's be. So racial discrimination are all bunkum. They will not, right?
Next question from Rahul Chandrasekhar. Why is post-independent India not thinking Sri Lanka is a maritime asset? India should have established naval bases in 60s before the rise of breaking India forces like DK and DMK.
These are all, Rahulji, these are all good thoughts, but doesn't help us in any way. Before 60, what we should have done is, similar to a lot of discussion in the net I find about, Aurangzeb did this and, it's good for discussion, but we never had a strategic thinking regarding our own nation, our own national interest and other. If you had a strategic thinking, we would have definitely taken into account what you are telling, maritime asset. We never had any strategic thinking. Strategy is not our cup of tea. The last strategic thinker was Chhatrapati Shivaji, if I remember. Much before him was Chanakya. Sorry.
Mr. Lee wants to know the recent RBI Internet report says that India GDP grew by 22% in Q1 2021. Can you confirm this from your sources?
No, I have to check on this because when you are telling about GDP, what is the current nominal GDP or is it a constant price 2011-12 growth? And what type of growth it is, quarter to quarter growth or previous Q1 of 2020? If it is previous Q1 of 2020, it is quite possible because of that depressed situation that time. But I have to check on that. It is internet anyhow, it's okay.
Next question again from Mr. Lee. The wind speed in Indian Ocean between India and Sri Lanka is optimal for offshore wind turbines. Can India convince SL to share the waters to keep out China for offshore wind turbines?
China, Sri Lanka will request China to develop offshore wind turbine. Very simple, right? So I think the current situation is not conducive for any. See, Sri Lanka has not appointed an High Commissioner to India.
I thought he recently got appointed, sir.
Recently they have announced somebody who is expected to join, but it was for a long period of time. If I remember January 2020 or something, that person left. This is not the way to treat a large northern neighbor of your country. When he left, before that, the next man should have arrived here actually and presented his credential. The point is, these are nothing great, but let's be very clear in diplomatic parlance, these are all important in terms of indicators, right?
Next question from Vignesh. Professor, I have read your books on caste and unink. Can you please write a book on this whole fake Dravidian history and EVR history? A request from your online student.
No, there are enough books available actually. There is a book which has been very recently come also on Dravida Mai. It's a very exhaustive book actually. So I think we should, Subu has written it actually. Subbu, Subu has written it. It has come out. It's check in the net, right? It's a very good book actually. Quite a number of other work is also there.
Yeah, this book is available in English and Tamil. I have the Tamil version. I'll just show you the cover. I'll just show it. Just 1 second, sir. Viewers, it's a 3-volume set. This is the first one, Dravida Mai, and it is written by Subu, as you can see, Subbu. I'm sorry, here. You can see it now, Subu.
Yeah.
And there is a part 2 here.
Yeah.
and there is a part 3. It came in Dinamalar, and also I want to tell you that this is the...
Who is the publisher for this?
Yeah, it is published by Rare Publications. Rare Publications, Ranga is a regular on Twitter. You can always get reach to him. And you should be getting these copies. This is available in English also. And it's a very well-written book. See, I made references. Sometimes when these people talk nonsense on TV, I need to be able to quickly cut to the chase and say, okay, I have the book here. Don't even go there. The interesting thing I noticed is here, they are showing the picture of MGR. So this man also had something to do with this. So, because many people think that this man was close to God, and it's not true. Everybody has cut corners here and there, and that is the reality. So next question, please. Chetan Kumar again. Do you think the Economic Committee of TN, consisting of Raghuram Rajan, Jean Drey, Arvind Subramaniam, etc., will turn TN's dream of becoming a 1 trillion economy to a 1 trillion paisa economy?
Anyhow, you see, one thing nobody asked. These people are all citizens of US, etc. Have this Raghuram Rajan and...
No, Raghuram Rajan is a green card holder, sir. He has always said, I'm Indian.
No. Have ever any US state or federal government worried about what they are thinking about the local economy?
Right.
Similarly, our Abhishek, he talks so much. I don't think anybody in England listens to him or anything, actually. And let me share one important thing with you. Somebody reasonably reliable told me Raghuram Rajan was a average professor at Booth University. He was nothing big deal. He was not any major economist or anything like that. But he was a respected associate professor. Then he became a professor, and that's all. He was brought in here due to some of the other linkages and relationship and other thing. I don't want to go into that. So, we boost all these people, and they may, making 1 trillion or 10 trillion is not an issue, but they should not damage the unity of the country in giving some report for this COVID, DMK, COVID 20 DMK or DMK 6.0, whichever there used to be a slogan before the last election, if you remember. Anjikachi Amavasai, something like that. So, like that, there are Moonu CM Mukadu, you can call it. There are 3 CMs in Tamil Nadu.
Speaking of that, actually, I was going to ask you, and you've come to that point. In your opinion, and I don't mind if it is right or wrong, who are the 3 CMs? One is namesake Stalin. Who is number 2?
His son and his son-in-law. These are the 3 CMs.
Oh, okay.
His son-in-law is very powerful. Sabarinathan is extremely powerful. His son is also very powerful. His son wants to become deputy CM. So, and Stalin, of course, is the primary one. So, and then is this nephew or whatever you call it, that Maran is used periodically to go and abuse people. He will abuse people and come back. And his sister is used to keep Christians, church and other thing happy. She is extremely involved with them, actually. So that is how the thing goes on. But it is extremely dangerous. Let me tell you, this do not take it as a, I tell people in Delhi, nobody listens. Nobody is in a listening mood also. I tell them it is not the earlier Karunanidhi type of a regime where some corruption charges are there, fellows are corrupt. I only hope the historic alliance, compact made by JJ and MGR is maintained, and then it is some sort of a countervailing force for this separatist activist. Whatever said and done, ADMK cannot be accused of being separatist as of now. So let's be clear. So earlier the slogan was Anjikachi Amavasai. So now it is Moonu CM Mukkad, something like that you can call it. Okay.
Next question, please. Bhairav Subramaniam has a very good question. Professor Sir and Sri Sir, how do you ensure this discussion gets the immediate attention of Modi ji, Amit Shah ji, Ajit Doval ji, and Annamalai ji, BJP state chief, to give extra push? It is very
Don't worry,
alarming.
sir. At least three of them know what I am talking. Okay. So it is not something new or anything like that. Anyhow. Okay. But
Yes,
most important is not that these people are knowing about it. What is the action? That is what is most important. You see, there are three things in karmic situation: thinking, that is the thought process, what you think, and what you speak, and what you act. These are the three things, and these should be in a straight line. Extremely difficult for a politician. You never know. Thinking, you will never come to know anyhow, unless you are a mind reader or something. Talking and action, and there is a significant gap, then it is not useful, right? So
yes. Next question. Yeah. Next question from Ashutosh Kulkarni. Sir, when will the political discourse in India move towards helping businesses grow and decreasing state interference than promising freebies?
freebies mostly at the state level. I don't think center indulges in freebies anymore. And also many of these so-called the government businesses are getting offloaded. So and then helping actually the criticism today by many is this government is over helping the businesses to flourish, another thing. That also I don't agree. I think we have significantly moved away from government control of business to business operating on its own. Actually, obviously, some businesses take advantage of it, and then there are crooks and there are people who cheat banks and all that thing take place. It will take some more time for some amount of balance to be achieved. These freebies are all state government things. State government do not have, you see, no state government cannot start any enterprise today. There is no money for that. Absolutely. No new business. They can only encourage some business to come from outside. And government business mean cut money is not much. That is another thing. Even this DMK, for instance, they talk about all this Sambani, Adani, and they make a proposal, they will accept. Global businesses, they accept. MNCs are okay for them. There is no problem on that. But even there is a problem because ability of MNCs to bribe is now much less. Sri Iyer would know about the new regulations which have come in US actually.
Yes, indeed. In fact, I have been asking for the United States government to look into General Electric's processes and methods. Unfortunately, the 5-year time limit has run out, so we can't do much because GE did bribe the UPA government, Mr. Chidambaram, and many others to get this thing. The money was actually used in a very funny way to put it through NDTV, and that's how NDTV got into trouble. But be that as it may, Pranay Roy did it with his eyes wide open, and but consequences are there. But anyway, nothing is happening. That is our greatness. So next question is from Vignesh.
No, I wanted to stress today, for an MNC of US origin, it is not very easy to bribe and get away with it.
No.
Because of their local factor and various other type of legislation. Anywhere in the world, Madagascar or it can be Afghanistan or India, if the US origin MNC is known to have bribed activity, they can be taken to task, their CEO in US.
In the US.
That is what is the most important.
Sir, interestingly, 3 years ago, Facebook tried to get video broadcasting rights for one IPL match. And the IPL council didn't want them. Go figure.
Why did the BJP Congress counter the anti-JN statement? Vignesh, I should not say this, but let me tell, most people in Congress, of course BJP is very new, do not know their past. Many of them do not know that Annie Besant was their president. Many of them. And there is one MP from Karur, one lady MP, she goes and garlands EVR statue on Independence Day. Can you beat that? She doesn't know that EVR was against India getting independence and he wanted British to continue. She, these are, Congress idea of, I don't think their office in Tamil Nadu is called Satyamurthy Bhavan. I don't know how many Congress people know who is Satyamurthy. Why the building is, I'm serious about it. Conduct a small
Absolutely true, sir. Satyamurthy is Dr. Swami's uncle.
No, that is not issue. My point is, conduct a small quiz to these Congress people. There's 17 or 18 MLAs on about they, other than Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, they know not any history. Do they know about Senbaganathan? Do they know about Netaji? Netaji's INA got the maximum people from Tamil Nadu. This is not known to many people. Nearly 9,000 people. In those days, Netaji came to speak in Madurai. I'm talking about the
1930s or early 40s.
30s, late 30s. 10,000 people assembled in the Madurai railway station. Word of mouth. There is no television, no social media, no print media even helping the people. Word of mouth. And when he spoke, Muthuramalinga Thevar was the one who arranged that. It was estimatedly 100,000 people in Madurai. That means in and around all the villages and others would have come. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, who was not from the local. Actually, many people in that part of the country as a name as Bose without knowing Bose is a surname. The fellow's first name itself is Bose. What is your name? He says Bose. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. What I want to stress is Congress knowledge about their own history is zero. They only know Rahul Gandhi and the other one, Priyanka's children, Miriya and whatever, right?
So next question is from Deepak Joshil. Yeah. All respects to you, but economic disparity between India and China is too huge. By throwing $65 billion in POK and Gilgit-Baltistan, now the question of POK ever coming to India is sealed for good. Do you think India can ever take on China for POK? Forget about Mercurial Pakistan.
See, this India taking on China is a long shot. China is 20 trillion roughly today. We are 3 trillion, planning to reach 5 trillion. China's forex is something like 6 trillion. We have not reached 1.5, 2 trillion.
But we are at least close to 1 trillion. That is bad. That is good, sir.
That is good, but not in comparison only I am talking about.
Yeah.
China got something like 55 or 60 medals, I think, total. I don't know. The total.
They are number one. They're number one.
We have got something, 4, 5 or something. So there is, China is a single superpower again and again. I don't know how many times I have to tell. Whether you like it or not, they are the superpower. There is no question of taking them over POK or anything, forget matter. Right? They are consolidating them, and it is our fault because we never studied China. We never tried to destabilize China. We have always been good. We say Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, so better continue saying that and keep quiet if you want to.
Yeah,
if you want to be strategic.
I thought you were finished, sir. Please finish it. Yeah.
Okay. No, if you want to strategize how to deal with China, how to deal with China is not like dealing with Pakistan. Dealing with China has to be phenomenally strategic. Okay.
Thank you very much, Deepak Joshi with 2 eyes. That's always an interesting twist. Looks like you believe in numerology. MD Ravikant wants to know, why is Finance Ministry giving contract after contract to Infosys when they didn't do a good job in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and GST portal? Is there anything amiss?
Out of syllabus question. Okay. When Mohandas Pai comes to talk with 3 Iyer, you ask this question.
Yes,
right?
yes. Even there, he'll say out of syllabus because he'll say, I am talking about numbers and economy. I am not talking about Infosys. I no longer work there.
Oh, he told that. Okay.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just guessing.
Right.
Raju wants to know, what will be the effect on China if everyone uses solar power?
Why should it affect China? If at all, it will affect our Middle East. Many of them have go back to their tent. And then, with electric vehicles coming. Incidentally, Bangalore is expected to release 1 lakh electric vehicle on 15th of August.
Wow.
So electric vehicle comes all over, then it is the, they have to go back to the tent and camel, live there only. That will be there. China is not. China already 40% of China's automobile is electric for record. And last 6 quarters, every quarter they are importing less and less petrol and diesel. Less and less.
Yes. Shankar Mahadevan wants to know, is there any possibility for Annamalai for CM?
I am not a I am not an astrologer, so kindly refer this question to Narasimha Rao, who is
Yes.
in New York.
Actually, I
Right?
wanted to give you an update. He has given a forecast. He has said, I'm just going to give you the brief thing, Shankar. You should go to YouTube and look for PVR Narasimha and Annamalai. You will find that
Not
prediction.
PVR, he is some other.
His name is PVR, sir. No, his name is PVR. PVR.
PVR, okay. Not
PVR.
PVN.
No.
Yeah.
PVR Narasimha Rao. And what he says is, till end of 22, Annamalai is going to have a little bit of a difficult time because, these guys will come at him with hammer and tongs. But after that, his stars are looking up. In fact, in 2024, Annamalai will be the sole person bringing a lot of seats from BJP to the BJP from Tamil Nadu. And he thinks that if not 2026, for sure by 2031, he will be the chief minister of Tamil Nadu. And PVR Narasimha Rao has been more right than wrong. Remember that no astrologer can get everything right, but how well they gauge the situation, how well they look at the grahas of that person, all sorts of things play a role. So thank you very much for asking that question. Next question, sir. Mr. Lee wants to know, Professor.
Incidentally, I didn't answer this, Shankar. It was answered by Iyer for Narasimha Rao. So don't try to let her blame me or anything. Okay? Lee is what? Lee is Singapurian or?
No, he's a pseudonym, sir. He's a Desi guy. He's a long-time member. See, you can see that S symbol to the right of his name. That means he's a member. He has joined our member. So anybody who joins our membership, you'll have that. He wants to know, Professor, could you do a special session on how to read and interpret RBI quarterly GDP reports? That would be beneficial for so many regular viewers of PGurus.
Yeah, this we will consider later as part of the members drive and other thing, right?
Yes. It is out of syllabus, but it will be in syllabus when we consider this
later. Right.
Next question, please. Chirag Reddy wants to know, sir, why the highest number of Indian students going abroad to study are from Punjab/Andhra Pradesh?
AP, it has been there from the 60s. Punjab was not from the 60s. It started somewhere in the 2000s. AP, of course, is a huge number of landed gentry and many of them getting abroad. And see, the first batch, when they go fresh on board, then automatically the others easy to follow in terms of. Then second is AP foreign degree is always considered as important, and it is also an index of what you may loosely call the dowry market. See, AP is the national index for dowry market. Some of you may know the earlier, not now, the large number of the APIs the parents used to go and stay in quarters outside Lal Bahadur Academy when the IAS people are selected in order to find out are there any good grooms available for our. They used to spend lot of time and effort. So AP has been traditionally, and sometimes there is what you may not believe it, there are what you call underlying forward contract. That is, the boy is sent to become a doctor with an assumption that he will marry his daughter. So that's
absolutely, sir. Our forward contracts are the most sophisticated.
So Punjab is different. Punjab again is agricultural rich people. They would, there are issues also. Domestically, there are less number of seats available, less number of institutions. And all this, for instance, there are some 2 lakh plus right for CAT, as an example I'm telling. The aggregate number of seats may be some 3,000 or 4,000. Now it will be more because of number of IAMs. say some for 4,000 seats, if 2,50,000 people fight, it's a very, very, and I say 2,50,000, 250,000 people write our entrance exam. My colleague at Atlanta, he sued actually. He says 250,000 people, he can never imagine that 250,000 people can write exam to enter a institution. He says this is unbelievable. I told, yeah. He says it's much bigger than many of their counties. I told, yes, our number started 1 million only. For everything, our number is 1 million. So what I want to say is, if you have 4,000, I'm very sure, say up to 20,000, I would say all are more or less similar. It's not something great, Obviously, you can't select all the people because of the number of seats are restricted. You have to only select so many. So what happens to the remaining 18,000 people? They have to do something. They are not really bad or anything. And unfortunately, they may not get it under reservation also. What do they do? You tell me. They have to go abroad. Today, there are many more private institutions which have come in the country, in India. Definitely, compared to say 20 years before. But still, there is so much amount of numbers. And many of them are good students, I would not just say, and but not able to get in. So they have to get some loan here and there or something, and then they and the landed gentry of Andhra and AP, invested, the traditional East Godavari, it is called. That group used to sell land and come at, the Hyderabad or Vijayawada, spend money in taking films and then lose it heavily. Most of them, and many of them are Dabba movies actually, which won't run. And they are all big landlords. And many of them later turned into sending children to, and they won't mind paying money, in order to study medicine. Even in those days, is very expensive. Medicine, law, management, these are some courses which are, and now I am told they have become very, very expensive. Even for people in US. Of course, within state, they give some concession within US, and in spite of all that, it is expensive. Today, I don't know how much medical may cost a year in order to finish it, 5 years.
They are at least set back by $1 million. If parents don't pitch in, $250,000 is typical per year, sir.
For 50,000 $50,000 per annum.
No, 250.
But that is 4 years. Assuming even 4 years.
Right. So this may be a little bit on the higher side, but remember that I'm talking about the actual cost. The tuition fees may be 60, 70. But then when you are a doctor, what happens is people like to have like a house in the same place where the thing is studying. They the parents are usually doctors, so they want their son to go to college in a BMW. That BMW, they'll buy a parking ticket, a sticker for the college campus. All these things add up. That's what I'm trying to say. Pretty expensive. That
area also, the cost in that area also would have gone up because of the good schools around another thing, right?
Right. Somebody saying here that it is 90,000 per semester for foreign students in Canada. So that is 180,000 per year, assuming 2 semesters. So see, the numbers are adding up.
That is the Canadian dollar, or that may be
Canadian dollar. Canadian, but it's only 1.05 of US, sir. It's not.
The more or less you can say same only. So sort of, right?
So, sir, we are done with the questions. I just wanted to quote one thing. You said Ish to Kosh to. So there is a comedian called Rao Gopal Rao in Telugu industry. He's a very good comedian. So he had one dialogue. I'm going to try and remember. East to west to coast to station master utana last to abbayi barrister exam lo first class lo pass ayinanduku best ga mechi guest ga nenu velli shushtuga bodhanam chesanu. So this is the thing. Those of you who understand Telugu, please translate it for our viewers. Thank you very much, sir. Namaskar.
Incidentally, this is not in any way belittling Telugu or something.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Because if I remember correctly, except the last one, I think recent one, some black woman settled in US for a long period of time. She won the spell bee. Otherwise, the Telugus are the dominant group in spell bee. So
Yes.
recently I asked somebody, how did this black woman try to, compete with the Telugu? It's a very, very interesting thing. So they are the very important and interesting dominant group. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for another interesting, entertaining session. And viewers, thank you for your support. Many of you responded by liking and sharing the video. We hope to have a bigger subscription rates, because that's what helps us to spread the message more. In my opinion, 10 times the number of people who watch today should be watching Professor RV's video. We are also today on Twitch and LinkedIn. So those
Okay.
of your students who will be in LinkedIn will also get to see this thing. Hopefully they will watch and they will say hello to their guru. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.